Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dakota from Everyday Life, the channel where we talk about everything that happens in our lives. Hope everybody's doing well. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe because I am a new channel trying to grow. Listen, everyone, I have an interview here that talks about the Black church. And it's an interview, it's live with Duane Youngblood. Larry Reid is interviewing Duane Youngblood, and he's telling his truth about what happened to him in the church with a few pastors and a few bishops, specifically T.D. Jakes. Now, this man is a pastor. He went threefold. He was pastor, he was a victim, he was an abuser. Now he's an advocate. Okay. He breaks down what happens to people when you're young and you are abused, and how then you go to abuse people because when you're young, your brain, you don't have the cognitive ability to understand, and your brain somehow doesn't glitch on to, this is wrong, this is totally wrong, this shouldn't be happening. So it kind of becomes your normal, therefore you repeat it onto someone else, as opposed to an adult getting assaulted. We know it's not right, and we are not going to repeat it because we know it's wrong. It's something to think about. I mean, I don't make excuses for people who abuse people, okay? No excuse at all. But this guy, listen, it's a 2 hour, 30-minute interview, and I'm not going to, of course, sit you guys through the whole thing. You can watch it, yourselves at your leisure. But you've got to hear how he talks about the situation with him and TD Jakes. And we all know TD Jakes has been in the news a lot lately, going to Diddy parties and things like that. Now, this is all alleged because I don't know. Even though it's coming out of his mouth, I'm just going to say alleged because it's ugly. And that's definitely trigger warnings. So if you don't want to hear about homosexuality, then you don't want to listen to this. Uh, but it's a good one. Okay. Check it out, people. Check it out. Now, let's see. You guys know how computers.
So this is going with my sister in the mornings, and this thing happened to me. I can't go to my dad. I'm not going to tell my mom, and so I just buried this stuff internal. Now, I don't want you to think that at the same time that this all is going on, I started having little interactions as well with guys myself, because all this stuff is happening, and I begin to explore some sexual things myself. But yes, that particular summer of being 12 years of age, I experienced 3 different scenarios with 3 different leading people who I absolutely was violated by at 12 years of age. Then again, I shared with you about at 16 years of age and what was going on in our home. So it's been a lot.
And when the situation happened between Bishop Quander Wilson and yourself, how old were you?
16. I just got my driver's license. I was 16, had gone to his home, and it was extremely devastating.
Question.
Yes.
Did that happen to you again after the situation with Bishop Wilson?
Yes. Yes, I've been through that again. I was now 18, 19 years of age. And what had happened is Brian Keith Williams, who I see is in the chat, Brian Keith Williams he came to my graduation service and preached. My mother was very fond of Brian Keith Williams, and I was very fond of Brian. So she invited him to preach for my graduation service. And he came in and preached, and then he came and he was preaching for us again. And while he was preaching for us, there was scheduled to be a revival starting in our city by Bishop T.D. Jakes. And so Bishop T.D. Jakes was brought to our church by Bishop Wade Jones, who was the pastor of a Greater Male Church in Pittsburgh at the time. He brought him to our church, and he was there the night that Brian Keith Williams was preaching, and we didn't know who this person was, but apparently Bishop Williams did know him, and he gave an endorsement about how he could preach, and Bishop Jakes got up and said a few words. And so my parents had a rule: if you lived in their home, you're going to their church services they went to. So we went, and he started coming in to preach twice a year at Bishop Jones's church. He was so popular that the church would be full before he ever even got there, before the service even started. The church is jam-packed. Unbelievable response to his ministry. And so myself and another elder who was a part of Bishop Jones's church, who is still a part of that church now, we befriended. No, this is Bishop Wade Jones.
Wade Jones. Okay.
Yes.
I know that.
He befriended, we befriended kind of close with Bishop Jakes. And we decided in one of the times he was there, it was going to be his birthday. Now, I remember like it was yesterday. His birthday is June the 9th.
Now,
we're going to take him out.
What's your friend name again that you were close to?
The person who was in that church, his name is Harvey McDaniels.
Okay, Harvey.
He and I were going to take Jakes out to eat after he preached for his birthday. And so I was able to convince my mother to let me drive her car, as I didn't have a vehicle. I said, well, we're going to take him out to eat. I want to drive your car. And so we did. We took him out to eat. And it was decided after we were done taking him out to eat that I would be the person to take him back to his sleeping place, which at the time there was a lady named Sister Giles. She always wanted to house and take care of him when he came to that church. And so I came in there, drove him to eat, and then took him back to her home. Well, after taking him back to her home, he says, come on in, let's talk. And I still felt, you can't even imagine being.
You guys can tell that he's stressed out just telling the story, right? I am in disbelief about the things he's going to say about what Pastor T.D. Jakes allegedly said. And I was reading here where the Black churches are starting to embrace the LGBTQ community, but yet condemning it at the same time. I'm telling you, but Hollywood and the church, things we never knew. Let's continue.
18, 19 years of age, this person is killing it, and they're saying to you, come on in, let's talk. And so I did. I went in. We sat down at a very long dining room table in the room that she had, and for 2 hours, it was unbelievable. Pouring of heart, crying, him talking about my father, we talking about these scenarios, and I inwardly just knew I had finally found someone who could get it. Someone who understood. I'm sitting at this table, and for the first time talking to any man, I got tears coming down my face because somebody gets me. Somebody understood what I was going through.
See, that's how predators prey on the young. This young man said, you notice he never talks about his dad. I didn't hear him talk about his dad. And he found a man who he said gets me. He understands what I'm going through. That's the beginning. Let's continue.
Well, after sitting there and having this long discourse with him, I finally look at my watch and I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to go. I got to get this car back to my mother. She's going to kill me. So I said to Bishop, I got to get up. And I got up from the table. He got up from the table. He walked around toward the way I had to exit quicker than I got over there. And when I started to walk past him, he pulled me to himself, wrapped his arms around me and tried to kiss me. And in that moment, I literally died. I could not. I tell you, to this day, I can't remember how I got out of that place. But I remember driving home with all kinds of crazy thoughts and what in the world am I going to do now?
I believe him. I it's just my opinion. You guys have your own opinion and you do your own research because it's alleged, but I believe this guy. He sounds like he's telling his story and he wants to get his story out. He's an advocate now. So that's probably why. Let's continue.
Out, and I finally get home, get in the house, get in the bed. I'm going to try to go to sleep. And I get to sleep and get up in the morning. And in the morning, I step into our bathroom and my home phone rings. My mother answers the phone and she says to me, Wayne, it's Elder Jakes. And I get on that phone. And when I get on that telephone, I can hear water. He is sitting in a bathtub. And in that thing, he says to me, without any hesitation, there's three things I need you to do. The first one is, when I come to Pittsburgh, you're going to be the only person I sleep with.
Wow.
The second one is, you can't sleep with anybody else because I don't want to give my wife anything. And thirdly, I will take care of you the rest of your life. I can't.
What? Okay. First of all, you won't have to worry about sleeping with anyone else because you won't have a pee left. Okay? But I know this is a child he's talking to. Do you guys believe this? Please leave me comments. Yes, no, maybe. I It's too much. Too much. Let's continue.
To this day, remember how I got off that phone, but I do know I made a decision that I wasn't going to the service that night. And eventually I told my mother, I'm not going to go to the service tonight. She says, no, no, no. You know we got a rule in this house. If we go, you go. I never told her what he had done. I went to church, and the most humiliating thing imaginable happened that night at church. Bishop Jakes, getting up to preach, speaks into that microphone. I'm going to ask young minister Youngblood to read for me. And after all of that drama of the last 24 hours, I had to read before he preached. And so there is so much more to me and Bishop Jakes and my family and Bishop Jakes and the absolute destructive sexual damage. But this thing was so extremely damaging. And I'll say this to you, Larry, that sitting back and watching some of the things I've seen in 2024 and things that I've even heard him say, has been so frustrating to me, because the people who I've heard say things publicly related to him and people who've actually come to me, the stories they are telling me in 2024 is what I remember when I was 18 and 19 years old with this same person.
Wow.
And so it's hurtful, because for me, of course, I've abused, but my God, I can only imagine how many people may be listening tonight or hear this again, and you might be on the cliff getting ready to do something that destroys your life. I will encourage you tonight, don't hold back. Don't believe the trash and the garbage that touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm.
See, somebody is listening to this video and they're going to listen to this guy who has been full spectrum, abused, abuser, advocate. Okay, he's going to hopefully teach someone that it's not the end of the world. Get off the cliff and speak your truth. Tell what people did to you. To hell with how they feel or how you feel about snitching. Tell what someone did to you. Okay, let's continue. This is a good interview.
Trust me, you are God's anointed.
Absolutely.
You're the person that God cares about. And so this was tragic to me.
Wow.
Um, and I was alone again, alone, and
Mm.
I want to say
it
this.
just goes on from there.
I want to say this and give you a break because it's.
It's a lot. Whew.
One thing I want to say, it's amazing how you telling your story feels, and your story is a story of pain. It's a story of going from the abused to the abuser to now an advocate for both to
Right.
experience
Right.
change.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
It's a painful story
Right.
because, in my opinion, I feel like you were passed around.
Mm.
I know preachers, and I know how they do women in 2024. They talk. And I just feel like you were passed around. I also can't help but to highlight, and everyone has been abused, including myself,
Wow.
knows that once are abused, spiritually, there's this mark on you, and people see it. And you got two different types of people when they see that mark. Either they're going to do what Mother Casco did for you and protect you,
Mm-hmm.
or they are going to abuse you or violate you.
Yep.
One or the other.
Yes.
I'm not going to call all those that violate you all these different kinds of names that
Right.
I normally would say.
Right.
Wow. This is quite an interview. Like I said, it is almost 3 hours long, and I know you guys. Oh, you might want to, but check out Larry's website or his YouTube channel. It is quite. It's other bishops that abused this poor guy. The things he went through, I just can't believe it. And he's saying it was TD Jakes. I used to listen to TD Jakes every morning on the TV. I used to want to go, I think he's in Texas. I used to want to go to Texas just to go to the Potter's house, just to listen to him. I mean, does his wife know about this? Or is it real? I mean, TD Jakes don't look like he's a gay person. And I mean, if he, listen, more power to you. I have nothing against gay people. I have nothing against anybody, mostly. But I just can't believe it. And when, like I said, when someone, and 27 years old is the age where you understand that my short-term decisions will affect me in the long term. Okay, the cognitive ability to understand things is just not there, but it is there for grown people. So they know how they are scarring these young men and women. So was TD Jakes partying at the Diddy party? Uh, According to this guy, it's highly likely. I don't know. I'm just saying, alleged. So I just wanted you guys to hear this interview. Wasn't it crazy? So this is Dakota, and I will keep you guys updated. Everybody have a great night. Bye bye.